Welcome back to Mystic Fix. In our first segment, we had a great discussion on twin flames with Dr. Harmony. Now, how can one find love in a world when people are barely civil to each other, families are canceling their own family members, and hookups and swiping right have become the new definition of romance? Author Matthew McKay is about to coach us through these tough times. I am speaking with Matthew McKay, who is a psychologist and professor at the Wright Institute. He has authored over 40 books. That's pretty impressive. And we're going to talk about Dr. McKay's latest book, Love in the Time of Impermanence. So first of all, hello.
Delighted to be with you, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you. So my show, Mystic Fix, is the spiritual angle of things. And, you know, I think when you just glance at your book, okay, you might be addressing love in this really changing social political climate and, you know, and you're a psychologist and all of that. But you do have a spiritual angle to this because you got the information from this book, if I'm understanding correctly, from channeling your son who passed away in his early 20s, right?
That's right. My son passed away more than 14 years ago, and I learned how to channel with him, learned how to communicate, and in some ways this book is an outgrowth of our relationship, but it's also an outgrowth of my life as a psychologist and a couples therapist, and I've witnessed the death of love many, many, many times over the years. But it also, Jordan, as a source for much of the wisdom, it makes sense because, you know, who understands love better than someone who is in the afterlife and has, sees and recognizes and understands love in a way that we can't here.
Sure. So first of all, I'm very sorry for your loss. I have a friend who lost her son around the same age, and one never gets over that. I guess let's start from the beginning. Not all of my listeners and viewers know entirely what channeling is. So why don't you discuss that a little bit?
Channeling is something that anyone can do, and I've taught hundreds and hundreds of people to channel it, but basically it's opening the telepathic communication between people who are embodied, who are on Earth, and people who are in spirit. And all the people we love in spirit are really just a thought away. As soon as we think about them, we actually start to open the channel. And we can facilitate that very easily with simple meditations and the awareness of the love between us and that other soul. And we can begin conversations. And I learned to channel many years ago from Ralph Messner, who was a kind of a specialist in after-death communication. And since then, I've had hundreds and hundreds of conversations with Jordan that have led to several books and his desire to help people who are still on Earth with some of the wisdom that comes from the other side. Wow.
Yeah. Love is a strange subject today. You know, it seems that everything has been so commodified and today love is swiping right and hookups and, you know, all these, but there's maybe nothing so pure and just unconditional as a parent's love for a child. So what can you tell us? You know, what have you learned through Jordan about what love is and what love is not?
Well, I think one of the most important things that he's taught me and that I've learned really in all these years as a couples therapist is that love is not an emotion. And see, we think that love is this emotion, and only when we have that emotion do we act on love. And what Jordan has said and what I've learned is that love is behavior. It's what we do, not what we feel. And our needs and desires aren't love. Sexual desire is not love. Self-sacrifice isn't love. It's none of that. What love is the intention to act with love. And Jordan talks a lot about the four components of love. And the first component is actually knowing and seeing and getting who this other human being is, paying attention, So, and that's an active process. We
Mhm.
learn about each other actively by asking questions, by inquiring, by being interested in what is going on and what the experience of the other is. So love in part is this active process of knowing and continuing to discover whatever is happening with that other beloved. The second part is caring. It's just caring about what happens to that soul, that person. And that's an active process. Extending care is extending our effort to improve the quality of life of that human. And then the third part is compassion, just recognizing the pain that we all feel and how hard this life is, how challenging it is, and how much we struggle, how much we lose, how much we bear these difficult emotions, and to have compassion for that. And so all of this then is part of an active intention to make our behavior toward that other person one that embodies love.
Yeah. I think so many people approach love from either a place of neediness or a place of obsession. And both of those are unhealthy. And, to me, it seems that seeing love is more of a destination, something to get to, versus being a conduit of love. And, it's my goal all the time to try and approach everyone I'm with, and especially the harder situations, what is the most loving way I can work through this? And can I be love? Can I embody love? Versus just trying to feel it. So I feel like I'm with you or with Jordan there.
And, and,
Is
and since
Yeah.
love is active, it's doing something. It's something we have control over. We don't have much control over our feelings. Our feelings come and go,
Yeah.
and 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 instead, our decision and our commitment to act on love is something that we always have control over. We can always decide to act on love.
Yeah. When I talk to my clients, I'm a professional tarot card reader. And when I talk to my clients, and some people are a little bit weird about Christianity, but I always say, New Testament, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, they have a definition of love. And to a lot of people, it's very boring. It's love is patient and kind. It is never jealous or envious. And, and but that really is the rock solid feeling you can count on, not the passion. I think we're passion junkies today, right? In this society, and we want love like a drug, and we just want to feel intensity, and that can be very alluring. And I've been guilty as anybody of slipping into that, but it isn't what we count on. Um, how can pain and loss be pathways to love, Matthew?
Yeah, I think one of the things that pain and loss does, there's several ways. One is that the awareness that we can lose the beloved, whatever it is we love, it can be taken from us, at least in terms of our role in this world, and so there is this level of impermanence that every relationship has, and that experience of love has, and so that and it makes that person more precious. It makes the experience of the relationship more precious because it can be lost, it can be changed. And you just think about people, who've spent a long time together. Everything has changed for them. Their bodies have changed. Um, Perhaps their awareness, their mental faculties have changed. Their emotions have changed. Um, so much changes, and yet love can stay in the face of all that. We can maintain love in the face of all of that. And so impermanence in some way teaches us to appreciate love more deeply and to enact love in the face of not knowing when it can change, when it can be lost. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, we come here to learn about love. I think that's one of our main purposes in incarnating and coming to a physical planet, is to learn about love, because love is hard here. There are all these obstacles to love. There are all these things that get in the way of love, and that we have to learn how to love in the face of all of this pain and all of these obstacles. And you're mentioning parenting for a minute, and just think about it. A parent comes home and they're tired, they're exhausted, they had a bad day at work, they're kind of anxious about their job, maybe their relationship isn't going so hot. All that's going on, and their child needs their attention. Child is having a strong emotion, a strong reaction. Maybe they need help with homework. And enacting love toward that child requires pushing past all of that pain, the tiredness, the doubt, the fear, and everything that's going on, pushing past that in order to enact love. Or consider two people who are in a relationship, and one is upset and concerned and asking for changes in the relationship. And so the one who's hearing all that has to enact love in the face of maybe feeling hurt, maybe feeling responsible, feeling like there's something wrong with me. And in face of all of that pain, still have to figure out, how can I love my partner? How can I find out what their need is and be able to respond to it? So you see that we're constantly trying to enact love in the face of difficulties, pain, and obstacles. And that's really what we're learning to do here.
Wow. And your book actually gives practices and meditations toward cultivating love and gratitude, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. Wow. So Love in a Time of Impermanence has some real tools, as well as your story, as well as what philosophy, discussion, psychology, what elements do you say, I guess, come around your channeling from Jordan? I mean, certainly your background as a psychologist is playing a part in this also.
Both of those are very big parts of the book. But I think just one thing that if I could offer this to your audience is Jordan has really impressed on me the importance of starting each day with the intention to love. That our days are full of moments of choice, where we could act on love, or we could act on some sort of an emotion, or some sort of avoidance, so our days are filled with these moments of choice. And so what Jordan encourages us to do is to start the day with a simple Vipassana meditation, just noticing the breath, awareness of the breath. When thoughts arise, return to the breath, and then say to yourself, today at the moment of choice, I am love. And that what we're saying is, I'm going to notice all the moments of choice. I'm going to notice those moments when I could act on love or something else.
I love
and
that.
I'm going to act on love. I'm going to be love in those moments, and to start each day.
Yeah, I think too many people are afraid of being vulnerable and want the guarantee that they'll be loved back. Like, I'm not going to give love unless I get love. and that's not really love, is it?
That's conditional love. I'll give you some love if you give me what I need. And
right.
Actually, it's a bargain as opposed to love.
Yeah. Well, so you talk about a life navigation principle, how it influences our choices and the ways we love. Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, we all kind of have a principle for how we navigate in the world. And navigate means when we have choices. What do we do with all the choices in our lives? And a navigation principle is kind of an overarching value of what matters to us most, and what we navigate toward and what we navigate away from. And some people have a very simple pleasure pain navigation principle. It's like, I navigate toward things that are pleasurable, and I navigate away from anything that feels hard or painful. And that might seem reasonable on the face of it, but what happens is we end up having a life without love. If we're simply navigating toward what feels good, what's pleasurable, versus what is difficult, we end up with love, because love is difficult.
Yeah.
It takes effort. It's hard to love. And if we're avoiding anything that's difficult or anything that's challenging or painful, we will end up avoiding love. And so the navigation principle is really very important in terms of how we move. You know, some people, their navigation principle is I move toward wealth, or I move toward power, um, and control. So people have various navigation principles, but to have a principle in which we navigate toward love, that is unfailingly, when I have a choice, that's the direction I go. That becomes really important.
Isn't it interesting? I mean, I've met so many clients who are very, financially successful, very powerful in their careers. They seem to have checked all the boxes in so many ways, except love. Like love is the one thing that so many trip up on. So you believe that pain and impermanence are barriers to getting love, correct?
No, pain and impermanence are ways we learn about love.
Okay.
It's not. I mean, the world is a difficult place, and there's a lot of pain in it. But all of that pain is an opportunity to learn how to love. And so rather than being a barrier to love, it's an opportunity to figure out, well, how, just like the parent, how do I love my child at this moment, needing my support, needing my help, when I'm tired, when I'm anxious, when I'm struggling, all of that pain, how do I enact love with that pain? Or for the other example, how do I enact love toward my partner when I'm feeling hurt or ashamed, or there's something wrong with me because my partner has asked for something to change in our relationship? So how do I act on love in the face of that? So every time we have a moment of pain, we have a choice whether to just try to avoid that pain and to run away from it, or how can I act on love in the face of this pain?
Yeah. Well, gosh, I could talk to you about this all day, but we're coming up to a crunch here. I'm really happy to say Inner Traditions is going to offer a free copy of Love in the Time of Impermanence to one of our listeners. So get your name on the list at mysticfix.com, and you may be one of the lucky ones to get a copy of that book. Matthew, how can we reach you if somebody wanted to write you by email or whatever?
My email is matt@newharbinger.com.
Okay. Okay. Do you do any social networking or anything like that?
Very little.
Okay. All right. Well, we sure do appreciate your time. It was wonderful to meet you, and I look forward to digging into this book myself.
You're entirely welcome.
I'm Julia Gordon-Bramer, and this is Mystic Fix on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.